Okay, well, these videos are never controversial at all, are they? Now, whenever I do one of these survey videos where I'm looking at survey from a car magazine or something, I do get a lot of very silly comments and fairly aggro comments. I sometimes get accused of various things. These are not my opinions, right? These are the opinions of 16,500 people that have submitted a response to an ownership survey. And the other thing is some people get very protective of the car they own. Don't be. If you haven't had any problems with your car, and you might have a Range Rover, for example, that you've had for 20 years, you've never had any issues with it, whatever it may be, that's great, fantastic, but that doesn't mean that nobody else has had problems. But don't worry about it. If your one works, and it always has, don't worry about it. Great, keep it. It's a good car. Sorry guys, just had to mention that because I had some of the most ridiculous comments ever on the last one of these surveys I did. It was pretty laughable, to be fair, sometimes. Right, just before we go any further, give this video a thumbs up for the love of God. Right, folks, we're off to the races. Let's get started. So number one is Suzuki. Suzuki's smaller than its more famous Japanese brethren in the UK. But that doesn't stop it selling very reliable cars that age well. The most reliable model is the Vitara 2015 to present that scored a remarkable 100% reliability score. That's fantastic, isn't it? Well done, Suzuki, on producing reliable cars. Number two is Lexus. Not a massive surprise there, is it? Toyota are sort of famed for their reliability, and obviously Lexus is the premium brand of Toyota. Really not surprised by that. Highlights include the CT model 2011 to present with a rating of 98.6%. I will have a Lexus at some point. It might be my next car, you never know. Hoping to do some reviews on some Lexus and Toyota stuff fairly soon, so keep watching for that. Number three is Toyota. Again, not a massive surprise, is it? Toyota's not too far behind its premium division Lexus in the reliability stakes. Like most Japanese car companies, it views excellent product durability as a badge to be worn with pride. Most reliable models, the 2011 to 2020 Yaris, with a score of 98.5%. As a first car or a little runaround car, can you beat a Yaris, really? I mean, they are brilliant little cars. Right, number four is Honda. Honda's long been known for its rigorous quality standards. If you're choosing an older car, a Honda's a safe bet. CRV petrol model 2006 to 2012 is the most reliable with a score of 95.8%. I've owned two Hondas in my life, and they are the two most unreliable cars I've ever owned. They were both fairly baggy old examples, so they weren't the best examples to start off with, really, albeit they both had decent service history. But they're the most unreliable cars I've ever had. So as I was saying at the start, some people will tell you you only ever buy a Honda. They're the most reliable cars. You can't get better, rara, and they get quite aggressive with it. Nothing's foolproof. Cars do break down. It's just fewer Hondas break down than most of the cars on this list. Right, Kia, 92%. Highlights include the Sportage Diesel 2016 to 21 with a score of 97.6% and the Sportage 2010 to 2016. So it seems the Sportage is a good, reliable car if you're after that kind of thing. I think the other thing with Kia is you look at that 7-year warranty that they give on a vast amount of components in the car, and you don't do that unless you're fairly sort of satisfied that you've put decent product out there, are you? Mitsubishi, 89%. It says here Mitsubishi does occupy some interest in niches, which it does. Some of the cars are a little bit weird and wonderful, aren't they? But it's decent reliability. It should be noted they withdrew from the UK market in 2021, so obtaining parts in the future could be more complicated than for other brands. I don't think that's going to be a massive issue, really, because we've had Mitsubishi in this country for a number of years, particularly if you're buying a slightly older car. They'll still, all the main parts suppliers will still have parts in for them. Most reliable models, the Outlander 2014 to present with a score of 95.6%. I've only driven the Outlander FEV before, which didn't blow me away, in fairness, at all. Number seven's Mazda, 88.6%. Again, another Japanese brand in here. Like all Japanese marques, Mazda's a good reputation for reliability, and our data backs this up. This is the interesting thing here, because people often talk anecdotally, don't they? And they'll say, like, you have to buy a Japanese car, they're the most reliable, or you have to buy. A lot of people will say it with German cars. I know just the fact I've mentioned that will get some comments, because people seem to either love or hate German cars. The man down the pub would say, "Oh, buy Japanese or German if you want a reliable car." You look at this, we've had 6 of the top 7 so far are Japanese and 1 Korean. Number 8, Hyundai. Obviously, Hyundai owns Kia, and so it's going to be very similar in terms of sort of quality. Most reliable models, the i40 2012 to 2021 with a score of 94.7%. Oh, remarkably, the top 9 brands are all either Japanese or South Korean firms. Number 9 is the Dacia. Again, this did well in the new car reliability survey as well, the Dacia. Again, Dacia did well in the new car reliability survey that I did earlier in the year. They not only make some of the cheapest cars, but some of the most reliable. And it could be, every time I'm about to say something, I then read it on the screen. This is probably down to tried and trusted engineering. Their cars until recently were all based on older Renault models and lack of equipment to go wrong in the first place. So they're quite no frills, so you don't get tons of extras and you don't get assisted this and that and that. So modern cars have so much technology attached to them, and these are basically using old tried and tested stuff without loads of new technology. So you might get into your brand new Dacia and it's got, you know, engine that they were using in, for example, a Megane like 15 years ago or something. All the little bugs have been worked out, all the issues have been worked out over the years, and you've got a tried and tested bit of kit rather than loads of new technology where they're trying to, you know, blow the competition out the water. And that's great. I mean, for a value brand, they're using tried and tested stuff, 85.8% reliability. I don't think you can argue with that. You know, with these kind of cars, you're not getting a premium car, but you're not buying a premium car. You're not paying a premium price. But if you're getting something really reliable that meets your needs, when it's all you need, great. Go ahead, go get one. Number 10 is Porsche. I'm surprised to see Porsche so high up, actually, because they took a battering in the new car reliability. And I know of a couple of Porsche owners that have their fair share of problems. And the Porsche dealerships don't seem to be very good at dealing with those problems. And the less said about that, the better. Porsche prides itself on making prestige cars that can be used every day. Our data suggests that belief isn't misplaced. Its most reliable model is the 2014 to present Macan, scoring 88.1%. Right, number 10 is Mercedes-Benz. Many buyers crave the reinsurance of the 3-pointed star on the front of their car, but this confidence is not always well placed. Its least reliable model is the 2014 to 21 C-Class with a score of just 54%. That is absolutely scandalous, because that C-Class is a nice sort of premium executive saloon, and it's 54% reliability on it. However, in general, they're 77.4%. So it might just be that lots of issues are focused on that C-Class and the rest of them are not so bad. But that's shocking on that car. I mean, that's when you think of Mercedes, you immediately think C-Class and E-Class, or I do. Before I think of any other Mercedes, I think C-Class, E-Class, because they're the ones you see every day doing tons of motorway miles. Yeah, that's not very good, is it? Right, Volkswagen, 77.1%. VW used to be a byword for solidity, but reputation has slipped recently. The brand does, of course, have a very large amount of cars on UK roads, including older models. The Tiguan Diesel 2007 to 16 has particular issues with a score of 65.8%. 2-litre TDI VW engines had lots and lots of problems. If you go back to their older diesels, the 1.9 diesel they did was pretty much bulletproof. Those things do crazy miles. I mean, I've seen examples where they've done 400,000 miles and are still going absolutely great guns. But the 2-litre diesels in the VW Audi Group cars, certainly the older ones, can be problematic. So just do your research if you're interested in one of those. Vauxhall, 76.7%. Like VW's, Vauxhalls are a ubiquitous sight on the UK roads. Part of America's General Motors until 2017, now part of the Stellantis empire. Its new cars are based largely on Peugeot underpinnings. The older cars obviously all date back to the GM period. The Stater was dragged down by a very poor score for the 2009 to 2015 Astra with 37.9%. 37.9%, that's absolutely atrocious. And the 2006 to 14 Corsa was 67.1%. Nissan 76.4%. Nissan may hail from Japan, but our data suggests this marque doesn't have the dependable qualities of its brethren, at least ahead of its sister company Renault. Most reliable models the 2011 to 18 Leaf, but the overall score was dragged down by models like the Qashqai Diesel 2007 to 13 with a score of just 63.4%. Loads of problems on those old Qashqai Diesels. Always do your research very, very thoroughly before you buy any used car, but certainly if it's one of these ones that we know has had issues. Right, number 6. I'll see what we're doing now. We started off 1 to 10 with the most reliable, and now we're going 10 to 1 for the least reliable. I don't know where they did it like that. I'd number it 1 to 20, but then, you know, I'm strange, I guess. Fiat, 76.3%. Fiat's reliability scores have often fallen in recent years, while none of its models occupy either the best or worst slot in category. Mediocre scores dragged its overall score down. Number 5 is Jaguar. Jaguar makes some really desirable cars, but reliability is often an issue. 2015 to present, XF is the worst one, with a reliability score of 53%. Now, that XF is a great example of a car that, on paper, I would love to have owned. I would have bought one of those over my 4 Series, I think, because I really like them. I like the look of them, I like the interior and stuff, but they're just so unreliable. And I know there are people out there with really reliable examples that have done 1 million miles in them, etc. But there are also lots and lots of people that have had big, big problems with those cars. Right, number 4 is Renault, 74.8%. Renault's not always had the reputation for quality, and it doesn't look like this is changing for its older models. As with Fiat, none of its models occupy either the best or worst in category, but mediocre scores dragged its overall score down. One highlights the Captur 2013 to 19 with a creditable score of 89.6%. My father-in-law's got one of those, and I don't think he's really had any problems with it at all. Number 3 is Peugeot, 73.5%. Peugeots and Citroëns very similar mechanically, so it's no surprise to find them having very similar scores. Lower than average scores for many models scored against it. Number 2, Citroën, same difference. The 2019 to 17 C3 Picasso does score well with 94.1%. That's really good. But other models drag the overall score south. And then number 1 is Land Rover. What a massive surprise that is not. Land Rover's off-road virtues are often impeccable, but so sadly, Range Rover makes some of the most desirable cars out there. So many people, if you said to them you could have any new car, what do you want? They'd say, oh, Discovery Sport or an Evoque or a Range Rover Vogue, Discovery, whatever it may be. But they are some of the worst cars for reliability. They really, really are. Almost every survey you look at, they're in the bottom 2 or 3 places. The only good thing you can say is that they do seem to deal with quite a few issues under warranty, although sometimes after a bit of a fight. But there are so many issues with them, and they really, really need to get their act together. Is that just me, or is that a problem that they should be addressing before coming out with yet another brand new model? I really, really think they need to get their act together and just sort out the reliability, because if they do, they'll just clear up. I mean, they're premium cars, top dollar. They should be reliable. Several of its models scored badly, including the 2014 to present Discovery with 59.3%. I mean, imagine the cost of that car. Even if you picked up a 2015 one, that's costing you serious money. 2011 to 2019 Evoque, 61%. And the 2004 to 14 Discovery at 43%. So those discos do not age well, do they? So give the video a thumbs up, guys, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. So sort yourself out and hit that button now. Thank you. Right, this is from What Car. So I read What Car every month on my Readly app. I've talked about that in other videos, but I'll just flash something up here. I do have a little link for Readly, and if you buy Readly by clicking through that link, it helps support the channel. You can buy gift vouchers, so you can like gift it to your dad or your mum or your sister. It's got magazine. I mean, it's got every car magazine you can think of pretty much, but it's also got just about every magazine for anything you can think of. If you're into planes, trains or automobiles, you are certainly covered. Got magazines from all over the world on there, and it works much like Netflix does. You've also got loads of newspapers, arts, crafts, hobbies, magazines, all that kind of good stuff, travel, you name it, and it's in there pretty much. So yeah, dig into that and enjoy. Don't forget to use that link because, as I said, it does support the channel and I like a bit of support. So thanks very much for everyone that's already done that. And for those of you that are doing it now, please go and check this video out next and keep watching the channel and keep showing some love. And don't forget to follow me on the social medias. Thanks very much. See you next time.